Going to study about chemical equation and reactions. Okay. As you see, everything around us changes with time. Like day changes to night, ice changes to water. Everything around us changes with certain interval of time. Some are physical changes and some are chemical changes. Physical changes are those the change of physical properties of the substance and no new substances are found, or the composition of the original substance remains same. In case of melting of ice, when ice melts, the composition of ice is also water, H2O. When it melts and converted into water, the composition remains same. So it is a physical change. In chemical change, the composition of chemical properties and new substances are found, like burning of candle. If you burn a candle, the carbon dioxide gas will evaporate. If we cook food, new substances are formed. So there are some physical changes and chemical changes. So what is a chemical reaction? You say that it involves the breaking of chemical bonds present in the reactants and forming new chemical bonds to give products. What is a chemical bond? The chemical bond is that force that holds the atoms or molecules together in a compound. Like if we say HCl reacts with NaOH, it is an acid and it is a base. When they both reacts, it forms NaCl and water. So here hydrogen is bonded with chlorine and the bond breaks. Here sodium is bonded with hydroxide. So H and OH combine together to form water, and sodium chloride bond makes the new bond to form sodium chloride. So you say that in a chemical reaction, the breaking of chemical bonds is present in the reactants and forming new chemical bonds to give products. Okay. In a chemical change or in a chemical reaction occurs when particles collide with each other. When the collision will happen? Collision happens when reactants are close contact by the supply of some energy. So some conditions are necessary for a chemical reaction. You can say that first condition is mixing or close contact. In some cases, a chemical reaction occurs when two substances are mixed in their solid states. For example, when you mix lead nitrate with potassium iodide, both are in their solid state. In close contact, they form new substances like potassium nitrate and lead iodide. So here lead bonded with nitrate and potassium bonded with iodine, and the new bonds are formed like potassium nitrate and lead iodide. So it is a condition when two substances mixed and their solid states, they changed into the change or become new substances. Second condition is, in some cases a chemical reaction occurs when substances are mixed in their molten or aqueous state or in their solution state. For example, when sodium chloride in the aqueous state reacts with silver nitrate, it gives the products of silver chloride and NaNO3, that will call as sodium nitrate solution. Here the precipitate is formed. Third condition is heat. some chemical reactions occur only heat is supplied to them. Like we say, if copper carbonate is heated, it will decompose into two substances called copper oxide and carbon dioxide. So heat is necessary to occur a chemical reaction. This is the third condition. Fourth condition is light. Some chemical reactions takes place in the presence of light. So this type of reactions are called as photochemical reactions. This type of reactions are called as photochemical reactions or photolysis. Photolysis means photo means light, and lysis means to break down. In the presence of light, some substances break down into two or more substances. So new substances are formed. That is the fourth condition is required for the chemical reaction. Fifth condition is electricity. Certain chemical reactions, like in the decomposition reaction, it only occur when electricity is passed to the substance. Like when you apply some electricity in the acidulated water, when you apply some electricity, it will decompose to hydrogen and water. Both are the two opposite electrodes, cathodes and anodes respectively. Okay. Next condition is necessary for the chemical reaction is catalysis. What is a catalyst? In some chemical reaction, a catalyst is required for to complete the reaction or to accelerate or decelerate the chemical reaction. But the catalysts themselves do not take part in any reaction. For example, when potassium chlorate decompose to potassium chloride and oxygen, manganese dioxide will act as a catalyst. Okay. So the catalyst themselves do not take part in the reaction. Only it accelerates the reaction or decelerate the reaction. When we accelerate the reaction, it is known as the positive catalyst, and when it decelerates the reaction, it is known as negative catalyst. So there are some certain characteristics of a chemical reactions. Like we say, evolution of gas in chemical reaction. When one of the product is gas, then gas is evolved. As we can say that when zinc is reacts with diluted sulfuric acid, it will give ZnSO4, zinc sulfate plus hydrogen gas. When a gas is evolved, we can denote it as upward arrow mark. Okay. In certain chemical reactions, change of color takes place. For example, when iron is dropped into copper sulfate solution, when iron is dropped into a copper sulfate solution, let the copper sulfate solution is, we know that the blue in color, it will change to iron sulfate plus copper. So the new substances are formed is green in color. So we can observe in a chemical reaction, change of color takes place. It is the second characteristic of a chemical reaction. Third characteristic is formation of precipitate. That means in certain chemical reactions, when two reactants are mixed together, an insoluble solid substances is formed. That is known as precipitation. Sorry, precipitate. And this is the third characteristics of a chemical reaction. Okay. When as I say earlier, when a silver nitrate solution reacts with sodium chloride solution, they give silver chloride as a precipitate. In case of precipitate, we denote it as downward arrow mark, or we can write it as a PPT, the bracket, plus NaNO3 solution or sodium nitrate solution. So here both two aqueous solution are mixed together to form a dirty green color precipitate. The silver chloride is silver chloride is white color precipitate is formed. White color precipitate is formed. So it is the third characteristic of a chemical reaction. The fourth and final characteristic is change of state. When a chemical reaction happens, a change of state is observed. Like in the reaction, the gaseous substances are mixed together to form solids, or the gaseous substances mixed together to form liquids. The change of state happens. As we can say that when ammonia gas reacts with hydrogen chloride, both are in gaseous form, then they change into ammonium chloride, which is in solid state. Both gaseous substances are mixed together to form a solid substance. A change of state happens. So this is the some characteristics of a chemical reaction. Next, we'll study about type of chemical changes. The first type of chemical change is called as combination or synthesis reaction. How can you define the combination or synthesis reaction? A reaction in which two or more substances combine together to form a single substances is called combination reaction. Like you say that let A is a substance, when it reacts with B to give single substances, that will be AB. This type of chemical reaction is known as combination reaction or synthesis reaction. For example, the combustion of coal. When the combustion of coal takes place, carbon reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Here, two substances are mixed together or react with each other to form only single substance, that will call as a combination reaction. Second type of chemical reaction or chemical change is called decomposition reaction. In a decomposition reaction, one substance decomposes into two elements or two simpler compounds. So the products do not recombine to form the original compound. That type of reaction is known as decomposition reaction. The decomposition reactions may occur in the presence of heat, light, or the passage of electric current. Three conditions are required: heat, light, and electric current. As I said earlier, the process of heat, light, and electric current. So these type of reactions are called as decomposition reaction. So the third type of chemical change is called as the displacement reaction. What is the displacement reaction? In a displacement reaction, we can call that when the more reactive element displaces a less reactive element from its compound or from its salt solution, is called displacement reaction. To carry out the displacement reaction, we must have to remember the reactivity order of some elements like potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, copper, hydrogarium, silver, argentum, or gold. The reactivity order decreases down the group. So when the more reactive elements reacts with the less reactive salt, it displaces the less reactive element from its salt solution. As we can say that when zinc reacts with copper sulfate solution, the zinc is the more reactive element, you can say that, than the copper. So the zinc displaces the copper from its salt to form new substances, that is zinc sulfate and copper. So this type of reactions are called as displacement reaction. And the last type of chemical reactions are called double decomposition reaction. What is a double decomposition reaction? The chemical change or chemical reaction in which two compounds in a chemical or two compounds in a solution reacts to form new compounds by the mutual exchange of ions. You can say that, for example, when AB reacts with CD to give AC plus BD. This type of reactions are called as double displacement reaction. For example, when barium chloride solution reacts with sodium sulfate solution, it gives barium sulfate plus sodium chloride. You can balance the reaction. So here the barium sulfate formed is a precipitate, and here the barium reacts with sulfate and the sodium reacts with chlorine. The mutual exchange of ion takes place and two new substances are formed, which chemical composition is totally different from the original compounds. So the double decomposition reaction may be classified into two types. One is precipitation reaction, and another one is known as neutralization reaction. Precipitation reaction and neutralization reaction. Precipitation reaction means when precipitate is formed, when the mutual exchange of ion takes place. Neutralization reaction is when acid reacts with base and the mutual exchange of ion takes place, the new substances are formed, salt and water. These type of reactions are called neutralization reaction. They are both are the type of double displacement reaction. So